I want to talk about a very exciting topic today, the Battle of Armageddon. Welcome everybody to this video. I hope it will be helpful to you. The Battle of Armageddon occurs at the very end of the tribulation time. Of course, we're going to learn that the Lord comes in response to the Jewish people's cry for help from God. He comes from heaven, lands on the Mount of Olives, and destroys all the armies of the Battle of Armageddon. This is really an important battle because it is the beginning of the destruction of the evil, wicked people that follow Satan on the earth. An awful lot is said about this battle in the Bible, and I want to cover some of those verses today with you. We'll start in first with Revelation chapter 19, 19 to 21. I saw the beast, the kings of the earth, their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse, against his army. That's us. And the beast was taken, with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, them that worshipped his image. They both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. So that's Antichrist and that's the false prophet. The remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat on the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth. So all he has to do is say the word, and they are slain. And all the fowls were filled with their flesh. Now at this time, after tribulation has occurred, all the huge earthquakes, all the hail, all the disaster on the earth, the world is in total ruin. Now God has protected Israel during this time. God has blessed Israel and is prosperous. So Satan sees this and he uses it as bait to lure the armies of the world to conquer Israel and partake of the spoils that are there. But the true motive is Satan wants them to help him destroy Jesus and all the saints with him. That's us. He has to do this in order to rule and reign on the earth himself. Now, other sections talking about this are very exciting. Ezekiel 38, 11 and 12 says, Thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil, to take a prey, to turn thy hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, upon the people that are gathered out of all nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. Another very important verse about this battle, Zechariah chapter 14, first 4 verses. Behold, the day of the Lord comes, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. And the city shall be taken, the houses rifled, women ravished. Half of the city shall go forth into captivity. The residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle. His feet will stand in that day on the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave or divide in the midst thereof, toward the east and toward the west. There shall be a very great valley, Half of the mountains shall move toward the north, half toward the south. And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains will reach to Zazel. Yea, you'll flee, like as you fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And the Lord my God will come, and all the saints with thee. That's us, the saints. Huge earthquake is happening at this time. And then verse 9, the Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day there shall be one Lord, and his name one. Now, we also see in Ezekiel, chapter 39, 17 to 22, it describes the birds and the animals that are going to come to eat the dead flesh of the millions of soldiers and their horses that are laying dead after the Lord Jesus comes. Joel chapter 3, verses 9to 18 describes this battle. And it notices that there are multitudes and multitudes of people attacking Jerusalem. Isaiah 63, 1-4, talks about this. Who is this that comes from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thy apparel, and thy garments like him that treads the wine-fat? And Jesus answers, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me, for I will tread them in my anger, trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and it will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, the year of my redeemed is come. And I looked, there was none to help. I wondered if there was none to uphold. Therefore my own arm has brought salvation unto me, and my fury it upholds me. And I will tread down the people in my anger, and make them drunk in my fury. I will bring down their strength to the earth. So this is a very important topic in all throughout the Bible. Prophets are mentioning this thing. It's on their mind. Now I agree with some writers that have said that the multitude of God's enemies is going to stretch from Basra in Jordan all the way to Megiddo in Israel, with Jerusalem right in the middle. So from Basra to Megiddo is 154 miles. Just think that all that space could be used to camp for all the many, many hundreds and thousands and maybe millions of soldiers that have gathered there for the spoil. Now Jesus was on the earth 2,000 years ago. He was very familiar with that valley of Megiddo. He knew what he was going to be doing when it was time for him to come back in judgment to destroy the wicked. Now, I think the rapture is coming quite soon. As a Christian, you're going to be raptured, going to be with the Lord. 10.5 years later, you will come back with Jesus riding a white horse. Come to this earth, watching this enormous battle that's going on. We don't participate in it, but we're there to watch the Lord, blessed Lord, conquer the wicked. Now, thinking about the wicked, something's going on right now in the world that's quite interesting. You know that Satan is the one that has created the battle of Armageddon, that Christ has to defeat him. But right now, in Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, who's reading his Bible, equates Hamas to Amalek, understands that it's God's will to completely destroy the evil, wicked, heathen Hamas that hates God and hates Israel. That's God's will. But look at what the world's doing right now. The United Nations has voted repeatedly against Netanyahu, demanding that he stop destroying Hamas. All the world is gathered together in opposition to Netanyahu, in favor of Hamas. And even President Biden is demanding of Netanyahu that he must stop this war so Hamas can be released. Can you imagine? All these people have gathered together to do not God's will, but Satan's will. Now after the rapture, soon after, Satan's kicked out of heaven. He finds a man to go into his body. We call him Antichrist. And Antichrist will declare himself as the ruler of the world, and all the world will follow him and take the mark of the beast in their hand and in their forehead. They're all going to join up, and all these people that are against God's will being done in Israel right now are going to join with Antichrist. That's amazing, and it shows you how close we are to the rapture. Because these very same individuals that we see today in all their demonstrations against Israel are going to be joining up with Antichrist. Something to think about. Shows us how close we are to the end times and the Lord coming back with the rapture. Well, we will see you next week with another video. Until that time, keep studying, keep reading, and we'll see you next week. Lord bless. Bye-bye.